Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Third Round TKO. My name's Tim. I'm joined once again by my co-host, Evan. How's it going, Evan?
Good. How you doing?
Today, we're going to be doing a full breakdown of the Draftkings slate for UFC Fight Night, Woodley versus Burns. Before we get into that, I just wanted to say we're currently doing a giveaway, doing some $25 Amazon gift card giveaways. In order to enter, you have to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/thirdroundtko. We have 4 chances to enter, 4 chances to win. Go to any of our last 4 videos. Those are full fight breakdowns. We have the Roosevelt Roberts versus Brok Weaver, Jamahall versus Klidson Abreu, Mackenzie Dern versus Hannah Cifers, and Tyron Woodley versus Gilbert Burns. So like those videos, leave a comment down below with who you think is going to win. Leave the round and the method of victory. And if multiple people get it right, then we will randomly generate the winners. And make sure you check back for our recap video. That'll be coming out after this Saturday. And we'll announce who won. So yeah, we have multiple $25 Amazon gift cards to give away. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Damn.
And let's get into this.
Let's do it.
So where do we want to start at?
Start from the bottom up. First
Start
fight.
from the bottom. All right.
What do we got? Morales and Gutierrez.
Yes.
So I think both these guys are going to be relatively low owned. So if you do have a strong lean either way, maybe you could get up on the field that way. If I had to roster one, I'd say Morales. He's pretty quick hands, solid boxer. He had a decent showing against Sonya Dawn on short notice in China. He beat Firas Zahabi's brother, whoever that is. And then that Benito Lopez fight, I thought he won that. But
yeah, I
he
did
lost.
too. It was like a home fight for Lopez.
Yeah, it was in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Like all of Team Alpha Male was on that card.
Yep.
And he scored a knockdown in that fight, so he can crack.
Yeah.
I think the smaller cage benefits Morales if it would benefit anyone in this fight. But I don't know much about Gutierrez, so do you have where do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you said so far for sure. Gutierrez has terrible takedown defense, but Morales doesn't really ever look to take the fight to the ground, so that probably won't come into play. Otherwise, I feel they are similarly skilled on the feet. Both guys have pretty fast hands. The main difference is Gutierrez uses more kicks and switches stances often. Morales seems to have more power, and like you said, knocked Benito Lopez down in that first round. Morales also showed a pretty good chin. He's very defensively sound. He has good head movement, good footwork to move in and out of range of his opponent's strikes. His main issue for me on DK is his lack of activity and the fact that he's not going to score anything other than significant strikes. I mean, maybe a knockdown. I don't really see it happening, but it could for sure. To me, this is a clear dog or pass situation. Gutierrez scored 64 and 65 points in his wins. I was leaning Morales anyway. But his lack of activity and lack of urgency to put a stamp on rounds leads me to believe that I could see Gutierrez winning a decision here. I wouldn't have a ton of exposure to this fight either way because neither fighter generally scores well. Morales only scored 60 in his win. And like I said, Gutierrez scored 64 and 65. I'm planning to have a little bit of exposure to Morales just because we need people in that price range, I feel like, to fill out some lineups. But I won't have any exposure to Gutierrez.
I agree. Even if he got that decision win against Benito Lopez, he still only would have scored 72, and that's with the knockdown. So, he would need a finish, I think, to pay that off, which, I mean, it's live. The fight isn't likely to end in finish, but their finish props favors Morales. Morales is plus 325 to win by finish, and Gutierrez is plus 490 to win by finish.
And
But the fight as a whole, it's minus 265 to go to decision. So, I mean, it's not likely, but if someone does get a finish, I think it would be Morales.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Morales reaching value. I think the smaller ring will help with that. And I think Gutierrez kind of pushes the pace a little more than a couple of Morales' past opponents. Even Song Yadong didn't really, try to push the pace that much on him. And that was on short notice in China.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
he landed the most strikes on Song compared to his other fights.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Morales had a pretty good showing in that fight. So I think, we're in agreement here. A little bit of Morales, no Gutierrez, and let's move on.
Fair.
So we have Kenney versus Louis Smolka. Both guys are former flyweights. Kenney with a couple of greasy wins before losing to Merab Dvalishvili in his last fight. Smolka has won 2 of 3 in his return to the UFC, but hasn't faced any real upper tier competition. Maybe Matt Schnell, but I wouldn't say he's top tier. I think he's pretty skilled, but just top tier.
And he kind of got tooled in that fight.
Yeah, he did get real tooled. Quick submission win for Schnell. Kenney has nice judo throws. I think he will have a speed advantage on the feet, and he's much more explosive in his strikes. He has a really nice check hook, and I noticed in footage that Smolka was susceptible to that. He has really good defensive vision and footwork, able to get out of his opponent's strikes range, and his understanding of range also is pretty top notch. Kenney works well from the bottom. He's able to threaten submissions or reverse position. He has some nice top pressure despite being the smaller man. His ground and pound is pretty good. He's pretty active from top, throwing strikes and trying to pass guard. What I noticed with Smolka was in that McDonald fight, he was extremely active on the feet in that first round. It really looked like he was starting to slow down before he got the finish there. I think he's going to have trouble finding Casey on the feet here. I see him being forced to try to grapple, and I think Kenney's going to be the better grappler.
Better scrambler.
Yeah, better scrambler. I see this turning into an offensive wrestling match, and I see Kenney winning that battle. Smolka is really tricky from the bottom. He's able to threaten submissions. He's able to reverse position. He does a good job of rolling with momentum, creating scrambles, bucking his hips, and he's able to work to his feet pretty well. He does go belly down and gives up his neck to work to his feet, but he's also great at defending chokes, so there's that. He was out-grappled by Tim Elliott in their matchup, and Tim Elliott scored 176 points in that. That's just a slate breaker. I see Kenney being able to potentially rack up similar points in this matchup, and in a slate possibly devoid of good dog plays, I think a stack is even in play here, with Smolka scoring 60 or 61 points in that loss to Elliott. So how do you feel about? Sorry, I just went on. How do you feel about this one?
Gives me some, yeah. I mean, I like Kenney. Like in striking, I like Kenney here. I like his kicks from southpaw. He does mix it up, body, head, leg. So like keep you guessing.
Yeah.
His cardio checked out. He's gone 5 rounds with Brandon Royval. Tooled him all 5 rounds. Multiple takedowns. At least one every round. Multiple advances. You're going to need someone from this fight, I believe, because if you look at Smolka's wins, 130, 105, 162, 116, 99.
Yeah.
And then when he loses, he gets styled on. Matt Schnell, he lost in the first round. Nicolau went decision, but Smolka was knocked down 3 times in the first round. Wow. And then Nicolau landed 3 takedowns in the third round. And then Tim Elliott, you just said... So yeah, and I like Kenney. I like Kenney in this spot personally, but I probably will have a little Smolka. But I probably won't be stacking. I'll leave that for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna do. I mean, if the main event doesn't score well, and this goes to decision,
it's happened before.
I mean, if Elliott scores anywhere close to what, if Kenney scores anywhere close to what Elliott did. And Smolka even gets 50, 60 points, and none of the other dogs really win.
Yeah, that's definitely
I feel like that's
a
optimal.
Possibility.
Yeah, for sure.
Just who knows with D-Rod now, because
right, yeah,
he's probably going to stay at the same price.
Yeah, that might ruin the stack here. That could ruin the stack, but I'm still going to play a stack lineup here. I think we have a similar idea. I'm looking for Casey to win.
You should roster this fight. Whoever you trust more, you should roster.
Yeah, this is definitely a fight to target. The winner of this is going to score big.
I think Kenney in a decision scores well than most other fighters if they go to decision.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and if Smolka's tricky, he'll be able to work his way to his feet, I think, and Kenney will continue to take him down, I imagine.
I was just going to add that Smolka does have good get-ups. So, he could just rinse, wash, repeat, just takedown, advance, get up.
He could lock in a choke on Kenney potentially, but I don't think Kenney has really lost by submission. So, I'm trusting Kenney here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be. I mean, he's got a high price, and I do see him paying it off. But
I'm going all in on Kenney.
Yeah, I'm not going all in.
More than half my lineups.
Yeah, he's a good play here.
All right, moving on.
We got Tim Elliott versus Royval.
Raw Dog Royval.
Raw
Probably the
Dog.
best
What a
nickname on the card.
terrible nickname. It's like the one guy. He's like some Big Johnson or whatever. That guy.
There's a few crazy ones these days. I like
Yeah.
Tim Elliott a lot, though.
Yeah, me too.
Similar to Smolka, in his wins, he puts up buckets. 109, 176, 136.
Yeah.
Royval, like I mentioned before, Kenney took him down multiple times, held him down, had his way with him on the ground. And then on the feet, he's kind of like a little too, not flashy, but just kind of wild.
Royval,
And that might just let Tim Elliott take him down even more, like catching kicks, turning his back. But Royval does have a lot of, like, I don't want to say fluky submissions off his back. So this is another fight I think you should definitely have exposure to, but I'm high on Elliott here, higher than I am on Kenney.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're about similar for me. Yeah, Elliott kind of reminds me of Dominic Cruz a bit on his movements
Just
on
on
the feet.
crack.
Yeah. He has really good takedowns, really good cardio. It doesn't have a ton of pop. He mostly uses his striking to distract his opponent or to work his way in range for those takedowns. But he does a pretty good job of moving his head defensively to avoid strikes while he's working his way in. Royval has good cardio as well. I think he has a bit more power on the feet, but he doesn't have great takedown defense. He does well to threaten submissions and create scrambles and reverse position using those scrambles and submissions. I am assuming that Elliott will be able to survive Royval's submissions from bottom, but he's kind of slick and he chains them together well, and he can definitely lock one in quick. What kind of makes me feel better about Elliott here is that he did defend those really similar submissions in the Askarov fight in round 2, and that was after he'd been practically knocked out on the feet.
I was going to go back to that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear he knows the proper technique to defend these subs and utilizes it even when he's potentially not, I mean, he's concussed, I guess, you know.
I think he's going to go with his like normal game plan that he's familiar with, because a couple days ago he mentioned in an interview that like he's not scared but kind of like nervous to play his game, kind of fall into Askarov's guard. And then he got rocked and he was just on like autopilot and he went to his like familiar game plan, and that's when he showed success. So like if he did that from the jump, I feel he could have potentially won that fight, and going forward I think he will be running that game plan.
Yeah, and it should work here. I can kind of see this being similar to the Elliott Smolka fight. Unless Royval can really hurt Elliott on the feet, I think that he's in trouble. He'll likely be taken down again and again en route to a decision loss. I'm not going to have full exposure to Elliott here, as I think a sub for Royval is potentially live. If you're really in need of a dog, I don't think that's a terrible play. I definitely don't think it's a high percentage play. It's a very low percentage play. But there is a chance that Royval could lock in that sub when Elliott is.
And if Royval wins, it would likely be that finish that you need, not like a low-scoring decision. I don't think he grinds out Tim Elliott. I think it would be a submission, a finish.
Yeah, no, I see that as well. So I think this is another fight that you probably need to have exposure to. Mm-hmm. I am going to have a lot of exposure to Elliott here.
Same.
I like his price.
If I'm making 10 lineups, I'd probably have 7 or 8 with Elliott.
Yeah, me too.
Me personally.
I would have a lot with Elliott, and I might run one with Royval, but at his price, like, I mean, D-Rod.
That's going to be there,
yeah. I think the D-Rod's there. I think the Smolka stack's there, potentially, but yeah, if Royval were to win, it probably would be with him locking in a submission. I'm pretty confident in Elliott. I think that, you know, him and Kenney, I'm both confident
I think Elliott and Kenney are both my core plays.
Yes. So we agree.
Moving on.
That's an easy thing. So moving on to Jamahall versus Klidson Abreu. We did a full fight breakdown on this. Check the corner. We'll have it overlaid. But also check down in the description for the link if you're interested in a more in-depth breakdown. We disagree on this one a bit here.
Yeah, I like Abreu to win, but I'm not gonna play him too much on DraftKings. There's like other fighters I like around that range, but I will play some Abreu. As of now, I'm not playing Hill because I think if he wins, it would just be a decision. and not scoring that much because I think most of his striking weapons are going to be limited, I guess, with the threat of Abreu taking him down. So I don't think he was going to be as active.
Yeah.
I think it would be on his bike a little bit more than he was in the Stosic fight.
Mm-hmm.
But Abreu is live to get that sub. And if he does, that would definitely, in any round, that should pay off his 7,800.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm going to, once again, we're kind of lacking mid-range options. So I do plan on having, I might run one Abreu. I'm not sold on the submission threat from him here. I do think that the smaller cage potentially could help him out. Like we said in the full breakdown, Hill likes to move backwards in a straight line defensively. He could for sure run out of room and get pressed against the cage, and Abreu could potentially more easily work those takedowns. I also agree with you. I think that his kicks could really be limited here.
Even in that Stosic fight, not to cut you off, but he's put up 101 Sid strikes and no other stats. He only got 81. Yeah. So if he were to repeat that, that still really isn't hitting value, and I don't think he's landing that many strikes, and I don't see him finishing Abreu either.
Yeah, I don't see him finishing Abreu. I could see him reaching value in the Stosic fight, like I mentioned in the full breakdown. He was taken down 4 times in that 4th round and still got in like 20 significant strikes. And I just don't think Abreu has very good takedown offense. So he could be taken down less potentially and potentially score more significant strikes than he did in that in the Stosic fight. But I could also see the opposite happening where he's just pressed up against the cage more and they score less significant strikes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I prefer Shevchenko in the same price range as Hill here.
Should definitely be less owned.
I feel more confident in her winning than I do in Hill winning against Abreu. And I'll get more into that when we get to that fight. So yeah, we have similar perspectives, but Evan will be playing more Abreu and I will be playing less Abreu.
But both will be playing a little bit of what we're playing, I guess. I don't plan on doing a lot of Abreu.
No. I think there's better options in that range as well. So moving on, we have Billy Q versus Spike Carlyle. I think this is another fight that you have to target.
I agree.
It's kind of similar to the Kenney Smolka and the Elliott fight where you go ahead, Evan. Sorry.
I mean, this fight, according to the odds, is projected to be finished. It's plus 135 to go to decision. To win inside the distance, Billy Q plus 170, Spike plus 225. So this, like you said, this is a fight you definitely should target, whether it's Spike's quick finish or Billy's just relentless pace that he always puts up. I don't see him putting up 139 like he did his last fight. I don't think that guy is UFC caliber, but we don't even really know if Spike is UFC caliber.
Yeah, no, Kilburn was not very good. This fight's at a catch weight of 150. I think that's a little interesting. Billy Q has fought as high as 160, but generally is a 145er. I think the size difference will help Carlyle, who is just jacked. I mean, if you look at his Instagram,
as of recent, I think this is Billy Q's biggest, strongest opponent that I've seen.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It looks like Carlyle stayed in the gym, and going by his Instagram, he looks to be in phenomenal shape. Billy was training for a fight on April 25th, which was canceled, and it looks like he stayed in the gym preparing for a potential fight on Fight Island, which didn't pan out, obviously. Irregardless, he also looks to be in great shape, and like you mentioned, he just pushes a crazy pace in all his fights.
Mm-hmm.
Billy is accurate with his punches, but doesn't have a lot of power. For all the strikes he hit Kirk and Kilburn with, he just couldn't put him away or even really put him down. Spike is very powerful. Everything he seems to do, he uses explosive power. He has real power in his hands. He has real good top pressure and just crazy heavy ground and pound. He'll put you out real quick if he gets top position. But his issue really is his gas tank.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
He probably asked for this catch weight for a reason. He's not fully in shape, I guess, if he can't get down to 45 without killing himself. So I don't know if this doesn't end in the first round, if he'll be able to keep up with Billy's pace. So basically, I just think you need exposure to both. With the to-go decision being plus 135, they're expecting a finish. I'm leaning Spike. If I'm making 10 lineups, like I keep saying, I'll probably do 6 Spike for Billy Q, but I will be playing someone in all my lineups from this fight.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. With Billy's phenomenal cardio, after being out-grappled and beat up in the first round against Kirk in his Contender Series fight, he completely took over, pushing just a relentless pace on him before finishing the fight on the mat.
Mm-hmm.
Billy has gassed in his professional loss. And in other fights I've seen, like, he seems to have about like 5 minutes of go, and then he starts to go down pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to have exposure to both sides of this. I could see a Carlyle finish with a sub or a knockout. Billy Q has been knocked out before. But I really feel that Billy Q is just going to survive and take over after Spike gasses. So I'm going to be having a little bit more exposure to Billy Q, and I'm going to run Spike. I mostly was interested in him as a dog, and with the potential for D-Rod. You know, he was kind of like a sub-in for D-Rod for me. You know, I thought he had a chance to win as a dog and score well, but now I just kind of am feeling more D-Rod here.
Especially with the opponent change and
Short
assuming
notice.
he stays at 7,300.
Yeah. So moving on.
Shevchenko, Chook.
Yep, Shevchenko and Chookagian. You know, originally I wasn't interested in rostering either of these girls. In her wins, Chookagian averaged 66.5 points, well below her 7.7K price tag. And Shevchenko averaged 78.5 points in wins, also well below her 8.5K price tag. I do see this going to a decision. And there's nothing, well...
It's minus 445 to go decision.
Yeah, I would say this is going to a decision. What I wasn't planning to tape this, but I did actually go in and do tape of all these terrible fights. And what I noticed was in every single fight, Chookagian was taken down. She was literally outstruck by about Jennifer Maia, fucking Mara Borello, Romero outstruck her. They all landed more significant strikes, and somehow she still won almost all these decisions where she got outstruck in pretty much every fight. And I see Shevchenko being able to take her down every single round probably. Chookagian basically will just stay on her back and try to protect herself from top control and just waste clock. So I'm going to have 0 Chookagian, and I do like Shevchenko, like I was saying in the Hill in this price range. I think that she's more reliable than Hill. I think that she can reach value. She got 81 against Pudilova. While she did get the sub, they had a lot of grappling against the fence, and I think even if Chookagian survives, Shevchenko is going to be able to get her down again, and she's going to, you know, Shevchenko is a great Muay Thai practitioner, and I think has the power advantage and the speed advantage, and the only thing that could make Chookagian win a decision again, in my opinion, is her like yelling every time she throws a strike out of range.
And that's going to be matched by Valentina yelling every time.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah.
So
She's like,
mute your TV for this fight.
Yeah, so there's just going to be a lot of girl yelling, and
you can hear that stuff with the fans in the arena. So, like, imagine what it's going to be like.
Yeah, it's going to be loud. I don't think Chookagian has any shot to reach value. I think she has a very little chance of winning. I'm on Shevchenko. I'm going to have exposure to her. I might run one with Hill instead. I'm not going to be overly exposed, but it's going to kind of like end up with what lineup construction is going to look like.
Yeah, I'm going to fade this fight.
Anything to add? Yeah, it's just fading.
Yeah, no comment from me.
No comment. All right, on to the next one. So next up, we have Mackenzie Dern versus Hannah Cifers. We did a full fight breakdown of this as well. Check up in the suggested videos or down in the description below for the link to that. Evan had a bit of a hot take on that one, and you want to elaborate on that here, Evan?
Basically, I think Hannah could win a decision if she stays on her feet. unlikely, obviously. But yeah, don't play Hannah. I placed a small bet on her just to kind of cover my ass on my DK lineups because I won't be rostering her here. But just see the breakdown for why I think she has a chance to win this decision. But Dern will be probably top 3 highest owned on this card. The fight itself to go decisions plus 140. For Dern to win inside the distance is minus 140. So she's favored to get the finish. I think she hits value if she gets to finish in any round. But I think there's possibilities for other fighters to even score more, even in decision wins, like Casey Kenney with takedowns, advances, etc. So I'll be playing Dern probably about half my lineups, but like I said, she's going to be insanely high owned, and if she doesn't score through the roof, it might not even be worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all that. Check the full fight breakdown for more info. For me, it's going to come down to lineup construction. I'm not certain if I'll really be able to fit Dern in there. I'm not super high on the dogs and picking a few favorites on this card. Maybe in the stack lineup, I can get her in there or something. But, yeah, a fade could be a good idea here if you want to go against the grain. And otherwise, yeah, check the full fight breakdown. Next, we have Roosevelt Roberts versus Brok Weaver. We did a full fight breakdown on this, so I'll leave the link in the little box thing. It's on one of the sides of the video. You'll see it right now. Also, down below in the description, we'll have the link in there. But yeah, we did a full fight breakdown on this, so check that out if you're more interested, or if you're interested in a more in-depth breakdown, I guess. So yeah, on to Draftkings.
Quick. Roberts, I mean, his decision wins, he scored 85 and 53. So, like, that won't pay off that 9,200, but Brok Weaver is kind of a bit of a wild man. He's probably going to force more action than previous opponents have for Roberts, I feel.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned in that breakdown, we do see Roberts potentially getting that sub. So, like, he's definitely live here. I'm going to have slightly less exposure to him than I have on Elliott and Kenney, but I will be playing Roberts with probably, like, if I'm doing 10 lineups, probably four, maybe 5.
That might be. I'm gonna have him in a. I'm gonna have a little exposure to Roberts. His price tag for me is a bit. I don't know.
He needs a finish.
Yeah,
he's not.
He has to get a finish. I do think he will probably get the finish, but Brok Weaver is pretty tough, like we stated, and might be able to grind it out. I do think if he wins, that Roberts will reach value. I think that it'll be a better performance even than the Gifford fight. Yakovlev is a tough opponent, so obviously he's not going to score super well there. There was a lot of grappling on the cage and on the ground in that. Not a great place to score on DraftKings. Yeah, I'm not going to have any exposure to Weaver at all.
That's what I was going to ask you. I don't plan on it either.
No, I mean, yeah, no. Check the full fight breakdown.
Yeah, I've seen nothing from Roberts that makes me think there's like a potential to be finished here.
Yeah, no, I don't think Weaver has the power even. He's shown a good chin, Roberts. He's gotten hit a few times and never looked any worse for wear. So yeah, I do think Roberts is live for the sub. I'm saying probably round 2 submission. I could potentially see Weaver survive to the bell, but definitely zero exposure to Weaver. So next up we have Daniel Rodriguez. He was supposed to be against Kevin Holland, and on short notice, now we have Gabriel Green. I had a lot to say about this before. Like, I seriously went more in depth on this fight than any of the other fights, probably.
Probably because you got burned by Holland last card.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Kevin Holland fade show. Yeah, D-Rod, I thought he looked much better in his UFC debut than he did in the Contender Series fight. I'm not sure if in that fight he was trying to knock the dude out. Rico Farrington is the dude I was just referring to. Rico Farrington is, I guess it doesn't matter anymore, but he was huge, even bigger than Holland, although a little bit less reach. I did watch some footage on Green. and he just didn't look very good. He seems to be like a submission specialist, but he struggles to get the fight to the ground. And Rodriguez, in the footage I saw, never really wanted to take the fight to the ground. He did, I think,
in his Contender Series fight.
in
I
his
feel he just
Contender
did it to
Series.
steal rounds.
Yeah, but I think it was just to put a stamp on rounds. He doesn't really seem to be like a big guy on the ground. Um, I noticed Green switched stances, and Rodriguez is good against or has fought against southpaws, so it'll be interesting to see if he stays orthodox or stays southpaw in this fight. I did think that the way that Rodriguez fought would be more effective against orthodox fighters. He likes to move off with his jabs to his right, which would line up his left hand, and he also is pretty good about cutting angles. He also has big power, and I saw that Green had a couple first round finishes by punches, but when I watched the footage, his punches look so slow. I think that D-Rod's going to have just a huge speed advantage on the feet. Anything else you want to add?
I'll just go off just what I see on Tapology because I didn't really tape this fight at all. I didn't get a chance to. Green's been finished twice in the first round. It was back in 2016, 2017, and then he strung together a 6-fight winning streak, but he hasn't fought since August of 2018. So for him to just come in short notice, who knows what kind of shape he's going to be coming in. It's probably his only chance to get in the UFC.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So I don't know much about him, but if you're still getting D-Rod at 7,300, probably got to roster him. But same thing with Giga last card. He's going to be high owned. And
Yeah,
if
he'll be
there's
chalk.
any underdog that outscores him, like Overeem last week, it's D-Rod's just going to be pointless to roster.
Yeah.
But I do think D-Rod is more of a finisher than Giga, so I think he has a bigger upside.
Yes, I would agree with that.
But I don't know enough about the opponent. I don't.
Yeah, originally
I'll be
D-Rod
playing
was...
on this, so.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
I'll be playing D-Rod on most of my lineups, probably like 7 or 8 of 10.
Yeah, I also... D-Rod was one of my main dog selections on this card. So I was planning to have like quite a bit of exposure to him anyway. The other one I was kind of really subbing him out with was Carlyle. In both of these, I was kind of going for big wins as opposed to... Whatever, I was looking for big wins. Not for like little fucking, little... This isn't a cash game, this is a GPP.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I think D-Rod is 7,300. You almost have to plug him in there. For me,
Yeah, this is assuming they stay at 7,300.
Yeah, which happened last time. So I am assuming
I
that's
think
going
they
to
will,
happen
yeah.
again. Yeah, and if you're on FanDuel, I think D-Rod becomes a really good, almost you have to plug him in there to start building your lineups, I think. Similar to Giga, like we said last week. Put him in there. If you have an inclination on a different dog, swap him out. If you have some extra cash, swap him out. But otherwise, yeah. Moving
And maybe
on.
Spike could get that first round finish and score like 105, and D-Rod gets like a second or third and scores like 98, like some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
Like,
It
I
doesn't
feel like that's
look optimal.
always possible.
For sure.
So don't get 100% Rodriguez, but
No.
I'd say 75 to 80.
I do think that if it goes to the ground, Green could be live for a submission. And I'm just hoping that D-Rod's not going to do that. And he seemed to not really want to do that in general, so that kind of makes me feel a little better.
I think he's knowledge enough on it. He's with 10th Plan. He's going to have Eddie Bravo in his corner, along with Joe Schilling, as always. So he's got a solid team with him. I think D-Rod gets it done here.
I agree.
All right, moving on.
We have Sakai versus Blagoy Ivanov. Any initial takes?
I'm leaning fade, but if I did have to roster one, I'd probably go Sakai just off him finishing more.
Yeah.
I know Chase Sherman and Tabora aren't really high-level guys, but I feel Ivanov's pretty, slow, not the best movement. In the smaller cage, I think Sakai could land more strikes. He's going to have the volume advantage, the speed advantage. He's bigger.
Yeah.
but I think Ivanov has those takedowns too that he could always pull out of his back pocket. So like, I'm leaning fade on this fight.
Yeah.
But these guys aren't going to be high on. So if you have a strong lean, probably get up on the competition with one of these guys if they perform well. But I'm leaning fade.
Yeah, I don't agree with everything you said, but yeah, for
That's why we do this.
For me, I'm not on. I mean, I'm gonna play a couple with Sakai. I think just because you kind of need those mid-range options, and in order just to mix it up a little bit, I'm gonna have a little bit of Sakai, but I am kind of leaning Ivanov here. I did put He's part of a parlay piece that I put in. Really, what made me feel good about Ivanov was, I mean, in the footage, I kind of started to feel better watching him. He's also just fought much better competition. That Derek Lewis fight, man, he was pretty good. He did pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a little too close in the Tuivasa fight, but that's kind of just a stylistic thing. Sakai is going to pressure Ivanov, but that's kind of similar to how Ivanov is used to fighting. Like, you know, he was getting pressured from Tuivasa, he was getting pressured from Rothwell, he was getting pressured from Lewis. He ate some big shots from all three of those guys. And,
as a chin, yeah.
I don't didn't look too bad. So I'm definitely not on a Sakai finish. In his wins, Ivanov has scored 87 and 66 points. So I do think a fade is not a terrible option here. But like I said, with the lack of mid-range options, I'm probably going to play a tiny bit of each of them. I am going to maybe have a little bit more Ivanov. But it really comes down to like roster construction. You know, if you need the 200 points, then Ivanov might be your bet.
Yeah.
I don't see a finish for either of these guys. I do think Ivanov has a bit more power. And you were saying you thought Sakai had a speed advantage. Timing beats speed, and Ivanov attacks the body a lot. He throws that straight left to the body a lot. He did it against every single Rothwell, Tuivasa, Lewis. And I don't know. Sakai looks a little...
One way to slow down a big fuck like this guy.
That's what I'm saying. I think that he could slow him down. I think that Sakai pressuring might increase the volume here. And, yeah, I feel...
Probably some big boys, though.
I feel pretty good
banging
about...
that small cage.
yeah. I feel better about Ivanov being real small in there and eating big shots. He knows how to roll with the punches. He knows how to defend himself on the cage. He took huge shots against Tuivasa and Derek Lewis. And he has a lot of...
Went 5 with Dos Santos.
Yeah, so I'm leaning Ivanov here. That is going to be my official pick. But I don't want to have too much exposure to this one.
I'm flip-flop, but I'm going to fade.
And then we have left is the main event. We also did a full fight breakdown of this. So check the suggestion box and the description for the link to that. Yeah, we're both on Woodley here. I sent this to Evan, and we had talked about it a bit previously. Is Woodley was talking about wanting to drag it into the later rounds, potentially. He said he wanted a 5-round fight because Burns hasn't been there. He also said something weird about wanting to do, like, surprise stuff. Like...
Woodley spinning heel kick.
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm hoping he's not going to try and take him down. I think that's a terrible idea. I do think Woodley has a speed and a power and an athleticism advantage. I can see Woodley getting a finish with the right hand here.
So basically, the reason I'm leaning more of a fade is just I think most of his fight's going to be on the cage, and I just don't think either fighter's going to be super active in the striking department. I think Woodley's going to shut down most of Burns' takedowns, and I don't see Woodley shooting takedowns, so he's not scoring points that way. So for Woodley to score well, he has to finish. And then with the over-under being at 4.5, that they're saying it's unlikely for an early finish. And for 8,800, when he's going to be probably a top 5 owned guy on the slate, I'm not going to have too much exposure to that.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be about 60-40. I will have one Burns lineup just as a hedge my bets kind of thing, just in case. And otherwise, I am bigger on Woodley. I do think that he will win the fight, but he hasn't scored well in a lot of his decision wins in 5-round fights. I mean, he would have got 79 if he won in that first Thompson fight, 75 in the second, only 69 in the Maia fight, and it could go similarly. Like I said in the full fight breakdown, I'm hoping he comes out like he did in the Till fight. I felt like he was much more aggressive, but he wasn't dealing with a specific threat like he was in the Maia or the Thompson fight, so maybe that's partially why. But yeah, I do.
And against Kelvin, though, he only put up 44. I know that was 3 rounds, but
yeah. So if you take away 30, that's only 11 points off significant strikes. If you extrapolate that over the other couple rounds, that's not very much more.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm definitely in on the fade. I'm in on the stack from earlier with Smolka, with the main event fade with the Smolka stack, bro. That's where it's at. I'm telling you. But
that's basically it.
So quick breakdown?
Lineup?
Or should we do a little construction? Yeah, let's do a little construction.
Make a quick lineup?
Yeah.
I guess we'll start from the top. So I'll fade the last 2 fights.
Yep. I'm going to throw in Woodley. I'm going to throw in Ivanov. I think you got to throw in D-Rod, right?
Do yours first. Yeah, do yours first.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so first fight, I'm going to throw in Woodley here. I do think that there's a potential fade option. I have a lot of lineups with Woodley faded, but I'm just going to throw him in here for this one. I am going to throw in Ivanov. I think he's a good mid-range option. Next fight, I think you have to throw in D-Rod. Should have just thrown him in there to start. I'm going to fade the Roberts-Weaver fight just in case it goes to decision. I'm going to fade Dern Cifers because I think Dern is just a little too high. I'm going to throw Shevchenko in there as another mid-range option. I'm going to throw Billy Q in there as kind of a mid-range option. I think if Carlyle doesn't get that first-round finish, that Billy Q is going to score a bunch. And then I have 8,800 left. I'm going to throw in Tim Elliott at 87. I don't like Hill or Abreu very much. I do like Elliott a lot here. I would like to get Kenney in this lineup if I could. So, but I think this is a good lineup for a T-Wood lineup. We got T-Wood, Ivanov, Rodriguez, Shevchenko, Quarantillo, and Elliott. I'm not going with any of the super high budget prices. And I think all these guys could score pretty well in wins. If I were to take Woodley out, I would put in Kenney. I don't have enough budget, so I would need $200 more. If I were to take someone out, I'd probably want to take out like Shevchenko or Ivanov to start with. If I were to do that, I would want to plug in Morales or potentially Abreu. The other option would be to get rid of Billy Q and to throw in Spike Carlyle. And then I have 9,300 and I can pretty much spend up for whoever I want. So if I wanted, I could go up to Dern. If I wanted, I could get Roberts. Or if I really liked Elliott better than either of those people. Yeah, throw in Roberts or throw in Dern for this non-Woodley lineup. I'm going to put in Dern just for the hell of it. So the non-Woodley lineup is Kenney, Ivanov, Rodriguez, Carlyle, Dern, and Elliott. And those are my 2 right there. I'm going to skip the Burns. You can figure that one out. You got a lot of budget. So go ahead and do yours, Evan.
All right, so I'll fade the main event. I'll fade the co-main. I'll throw in D-Rod. I'll put Dern in there. Goes against everything I've been saying all week, but I'll put it in there. I'll put in Spike, my dog Spike. I'll play Tim Elliott. I'll play Kenney. And 8,000, I'll play Morales.
Yeah. I think that's
Morales,
a very good lineup.
Kenney, Elliott, Spike, Dern, and D-Rod.
Yeah.
Enter that right now. I think I actually already have this one plugged in.
Yeah, I probably do. It's something similar as well.
Yeah.
So there you go, guys. This is our full DraftKings slate. We had a little technical difficulties throughout, so that's kind of a pain in the ass. But I want to remind you guys once again, we're doing the Amazon gift card giveaway. We have $25 gift cards to give away. All you have to do to enter is subscribe. Go check one of our full fight breakdown videos. We have 4 of them out. We cover the main event and Tyron Woodley and Gilbert Burns. We have Roosevelt Roberts and Brok Weaver. We have Mackenzie Dern versus Hannah Cifers. And we have Jamahall Hill versus Klidson Abreu. So just go to those videos, give them a like, make sure you're subscribed, and comment down below in each of those videos who you think is going to win the fight, how they're going to win it, as in method, and what round it's going to happen in. If you get them all correct, you have a chance If you're the only one that gets them correct, you're going to win a gift card off the bat. I'll tell you that. And if there are multiple people, then we'll do a live generation of the winner. So just make sure you check back for our recap video after the slate. And otherwise, yeah, I hope that you guys win some good money this weekend. I want to say thank you once again, Evan, for joining me. Sorry about the troubles.
You're good. Thank you.
And yeah, check back for the recap video. We're trying to cash in this week. We put in a lot of work. And I think hopefully we'll do well. And we'll see you guys soon.
Go see Wood.
Looking for a dart. Looking for a dart. Recovered now. Gilbert burns hammers away.